First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Samantha, Colosimo, Testa standing by on the line right now. Sam, good morning.
Hey, guys. How are you today?
Good. Okay, so do you have any take on all this vaccine stuff, Republicans versus Democrats and all that?
I mean, I got to be honest with you. I think that we've been almost, a year and a half into this pandemic now. I think if people are going to want to get the vaccine, they're going to do it. I think if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, give the people the option to either get the vaccine, wear a mask. I mean, it doesn't bother me if people want to wear a mask. Like, people would get frustrated if you see somebody. Like, I would be driving in the car with a mask on. It's not because I was driving in the car with it, it's because I forgot to take it off.
A lot of people did that.
I think that people just have to be able to make their own decisions on what they want to do.
And you're going to see more people. You will see more people wearing masks right now because of all the publicity involving the variant and the percentages going up. You're going to see people start voluntarily wearing masks again. And
I think that people are scared
let
to
them
die.
do what they want.
Don't. I mean, this is what it comes down to. I mean, people are doing these things because they think that they're going to, you know what I mean, not die. I mean, think about that. I mean, it's scary to think that you not wearing a mask could cause, you know what I mean, you to die.
Sure.
Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where it comes down to. If people don't want to wear a mask, then that's up to them.
Yeah.
And look what's happening now. You're vaccinated and you're still told to wear a mask. So what was your incentive to not now getting vaccinated?
Well, supposedly,
it help you a little bit more.
The incentive is you're not going to wind up in the hospital most likely if you have the vaccine. That's what they tell us now.
And here's the thing: like, how do you I didn't even know I had COVID. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Is there different variants? I mean, I just think that, like I said, it happens to people on an individual basis, and if people want to get vaccinated, they should get vaccinated. If people don't want to get vaccinated, they don't have to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Those that are vaccinated are still testing positive. So who are the only people that should have to worry about it? Are those non-vaccinated people, right?
Well, the number, though, here's something of an actual number. What was the number I gave you this morning? In the last month, of the 600 and some odd thousand Americans or New Yorkers who have tested positive for the virus, what was the number?
8,700.
8,700 were vaccinated. That is a huge divide, Samantha.
What was that between vaccinated? I didn't hear that. What was it between vaccinated and non-vaccinated?
630,000 New Yorkers in the last month have tested positive for COVID-19. Of that 630,000, only 8,700 of them were vaccinated.
Were vaccinated, yeah.
So there's a big difference.
1.3%. 1.3%.
So only 1.3% of the people who got the virus were vaccinated. That's a very big difference.
And you know what somebody said? I don't know if it was
unless you read on Facebook, and that's where you'll find that it's 90% of people who are vaccinated have gotten the virus versus only 1% of. All right. I'm being facetious, but you know what I'm saying.
Let's go into even the state aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear all these different reports. Okay, this is the numbers here. This is the numbers there. I mean, and me personally, I'm still not happy about the nursing home situation. I know we talked about that before, and those numbers weren't accurate. So it's like I think people are tired of government not being truthful with them, and just again are taking it on their own individual basis. Whether fully vaccinated people are less likely to test positive than non-vaccinated people.
Well, listen, you got to follow science. The numbers are the numbers, and it's one thing for Cuomo to try to skew the numbers with nursing homes. They never the amount of people who died, that number never changed, but they tried to make it sound like it wasn't from nursing homes, whatever. But this is a real number of people who've tested positive, and almost it's less than 2% of the people were vaccinated. That's a pretty good number, pretty good success rate for the vaccine.
I guess I just don't know the answer. Do you mandate people at their jobs to get vaccinated? I mean, and then again, what if you're talking about religious factors, things like that? You know what I want to know? And I don't know if I saw it on Facebook, your show. They talked about the Amish community and how the Amish community doesn't get vaccinated. Like, what are the numbers in the Amish community? I'm not making fun of it, but it's like,
right.
Well, how do you base it on populations like that? I don't know. I don't think
you got to look at
the answer.
Samantha. You got to look at the numbers. You got to trust.
I think that they're doing what they believe in and what's right.
Well, there are a lot of
our county stood firm on.
Right.
You talk about Republican and Democrat. We have a Republican county executive. I think he's standing and has stood firm on getting the vaccination. Then you go to Florida. You have a governor that says, do what you want to do. So, I mean, again, I think that that's based on your own personal beliefs, and it really doesn't have to do with Democrat or Republican. So
yes, it has to do with stupid and not so stupid. That's in my opinion.
Right.
So, there's a lot of stupid out there. I'm sorry. That's how I believe.
Well, and I'm not saying that, but you can't call somebody that's stupid that doesn't believe in vaccinations all in all. I mean, I don't know. I just don't.
I can call them stupid.
I believe in vaccinations. I'm not saying that.
I can still call them stupid. I mean, maybe they're not. Maybe they're very smart. But give me a freaking break. I mean, if it wasn't for the vaccination, we would never have gotten rid of polio. Right. If it wasn't for the vaccination, we never would have gotten rid of smallpox. And the same thing here, but we're resisting it. I mean, there are a lot of people that haven't gotten the vaccination, and for that reason, the virus continues to linger. I feel like if everybody got vaccinated, we would have knocked this thing out, but we're not going to do it. So it is what it is, whatever, and we'll only know.
That's why I like local politics more, guys.
Yeah. Can I do one more stat?
Yeah.
This was from CNN on July 21st. This was about 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. According to state data, this is New York City, 70% of hospital workers in New York City have completed their vaccine series. 70% sounds good, but consider that's 30% who work in the medical field.
However, you have to understand there, too, and Dr. Hall brought this up yesterday, and that is that many of those people who are not vaccinated do not work. They're not nurses. They're not doctors. They're not working face-to-face with patients. That the majority of people working face-to-face with patients, at least at MVHS, are vaccinated. So remember, you have people that work in custodial. You have people, there are a lot of different. So that would be the question. So can you break down that number? That would make me feel a little more comfortable. So, and I'm only saying this because what you're saying is these are people in the medical profession. Well, is the person who works at a hospital that delivers to the hospital, or is the janitorial staff, are they in the medical profession? No. So I think that those numbers have to be broken down before you know what they really mean. Okay, Samantha Testa, good morning.
Hey, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah. All right. So what you're on because there's some issues that you think are going by the wayside that need to be talked about.
Well, I think that we talked about even like last week, and it was kind of like just a recap of what we were talking about with like the Mohawk Valley health system and the parking garage and whatnot. A lot of the things that happened inside the city, at least I know when I was on the council, all used to go through a committee system. And I think that one of the things that happened with this city council is they eliminated the committee system on an individual basis, and they went to a committee system of the whole. So a lot of the times what happens now is they'll go to a meeting on a Wednesday, get the legislation introduced to them, and then vote on the floor that night. And I'm not saying this happens in all the particular cases. But usually what happened when we were on the council is the legislation would get sent to the council president. The council president would then assign it to a committee. Now you had 4 members on each of the committees, that would discuss what they felt that was necessary based on, what their interests and hobbies were or their professional background. So, for example, we used to have the finance committee. All the budget material would go to the finance committee in regards to borrowing and whatnot. Anything related to financial stuff would go into the finance committee. You had a government and IT committee. So anything related to government, whether it was, legislation amending a piece of the code that particularly pertained to government, would go in the government IT committee, and so on and so forth. So I think a lot of the things that you're seeing now are going to the committee of the whole process and really aren't getting discussed into the full detail that it needs to be. I mean, if you look at that complete streets legislation that I initiated way back when, it took me almost a year and a half to do. So I think that you're really looking at a lot of what's going on and a lot of the confusion and a lot of the mishaps not going through that process. Mm-hmm. And one of the most important processes about that is getting the administration in there, what's going on. I mean, because a lot of the times you heard, especially with the Mohawk Valley health system, how surprised everybody was. I mean, that still should have been discussed through, the Urban Renewal Agency meeting, and even discussed with the Common Council. Because now you're reacting to a situation rather than being proactive. So you could have sat and discussed it with members of the Common Council that, I'm going to sell the Mohawk Valley Health System Parking Garage. What is your input? They could have did it with art space. Oh, we're looking at selling a piece of the parcel next to the Stanley for art space. What is your input? So a lot of these things are happening, and I guess the term behind closed doors is and I'm not saying that that's wrong to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I just think that before everything's announced, that a lot of these kinks could get, worked out before it actually goes into the media and you have everybody embarrassed.
But like what has happened in the last couple of weeks, it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, and that's where you have accountability from your government. And I'm not saying that I used to go to probably 10, 15 meetings a month during budget season, especially, maybe even more. So going back to looking at the process, and I understand COVID's, been tough on the local legislative body, but you still have Zoom. Everyone's still been able to make it work. So looking at that as a way to try and revamp how the city once worked, especially with its legislative body, to see if something like that could happen again.
Right.
Instead of going to a meeting that night and discussing and voting on legislation. So,
well, that would mean that everybody's working together for a common goal, right?
And that's what it comes down to. We didn't always agree on everything. You would see some of our council meetings would last till 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
It's not like everybody was going in there. Everyone was going in, giving their own opinions, and truly explaining how they felt about the situation, rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to show up to a press conference, but I don't, that airlines were going to be an issue for the sale of this parcel. So, and we go back and we look at who's been in government. I still believed in the term limit legislation. Out of respect for the constituency, I stopped and took 2 years off. And I could have taken longer, and I have people constantly calling me, asking me for help. So, I don't know, the best thing that I thought I could do was get back in and, really try and help the people that are contacting me. But you have to look at the term limit legislation and think that a lot of these problems that you would have would have ended 2 years ago. You know what I mean? To get a new administration and to get fresh, clean ideas, not to kind of have the old mentality. And it kind of frustrates me when I hear you guys say, especially for Bill Morehouse's instance, oh, Bill, you're going to be a contender for mayor. If they never extended term limits for the comptroller and the mayor, Bill Morehouse would have been done 4 years ago too. So could he have ran for something else? Could he have done something? So again, I really don't want people to forget what their government actually did to them, and to try and get it back to the transparent, open government that it used to once be, even before COVID happened. So I think that, even when we talked about the pay raise and stuff like that, was that truly discussed, or was that just voted on? Because I only heard one or two people speak up against it, So.
Interesting. All right, Samantha, as always, we appreciate your input.
Absolutely, guys. Take care.
Right.
It was good talking to you.
Thanks so much.
Hey, listen, how'd you see that bat video yet?
I did see that. Crazy. Right?
Listen, I don't know. I've never had a bat come that close.
Yeah, that is, yeah. All right,
guys.
Good stuff. Thank you, Samantha.
Take care, Sam.
All right.